Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Metal Chaos. This is yours, Dave. I got a line special guest, Sacrificial Blood drummer, vocalist, Mike Keller. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, I'm good, man. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. So,
Cool.
so you guys are gonna be playing Blades of Steel Festival for Randy Kastner next year.
Yes, we are. We are absolutely excited for it, too. It's going to be our second time ever off the East Coast, so we are down and ready to roll.
Yeah, have you ever played any shows for Randy before?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever played any shows for Randy Kastner before?
No, never. I've known of him, through various friends of mine and things like that before, and I know, we've crossed paths at various fests, but we never actually met. But, yeah, he's been a fan for a while, I guess, and he hit me up, and, yeah, everything's cool with us. Very excited.
Yeah, he's been doing the NYDM Spring Bash for years, and he's always done a great job doing that festival.
Yeah, we did one of those out on Long Island. I don't think it was his, but it was years ago. I think it was 2012 we did that, and yeah, it was an awesome show for us. But yeah, no, NYDM, those shows are always great. Been to a few of those, played a few of those out here.
Now, you guys got some other shows coming up this year still, right?
Oh yeah, speaking of NYDM, we're playing with Mortician at St. Vitus in Brooklyn on November 15th. And then we're playing a place in North Jersey called Dingbatz with some local bands. The names escape me at the moment right now on November 23rd.
Now, are you guys working on any new material?
Yeah, we actually finished recording our new album at the end of August. It's in the mixing process right now, and hopefully we'll be out early next year on the Horror Pain Gore Death label out of Philadelphia.
Now, this band's been together for a long time, huh?
Yes, sir. 17 years in January.
Yeah, you formed a band, right?
Yes, I did.
Wow. So what keeps you passionate about doing this for 17 years, man?
I don't even know. When I started the band, it was when, metal, especially old school influence metal, was still not very cool, not very hip, and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, it was just for, it was mainly for that reason. That's what I liked. That's what I was into. I didn't care for, the new metal or most things that were going on in the latter half of the 90s and early 2000s. And since coming back, it's, I didn't even think that was going to happen when I started the band. I was just into bands like Deceased and Cyanide and Scepter and stuff like that and wanted to do something in that vein. And then everything came back, and it's just, it's been cool out here for us, We haven't really had to try too hard. It's just, we just write the songs, we do what we do, we love it, and the shows have always just come to us. Everything's just sort of worked out here, and, it's just been a great ride. Lots of people coming through the band, but, other than that, there really hasn't been too much trouble.
So what year did you start playing the drums?
I started playing the drums when I was 9 years old. I am now 39, so that was, 30 years ago, 1989.
Now, did you take lessons, or were you self-taught on the drums?
It started because at my school, in the summertime, they had a program to learn a school band instrument, and, I was already into metal. I was already into, Metallica and Suicidal Tendencies and Anthrax and Megadeth and stuff like that. And I wanted to play guitar, but that was not available, but drums was, so that was the cool instrument that was available. So I took that over the summer. By the end of the summer, the instructor told my parents to get me into private lessons because, I had a natural talent. So yeah, I took lessons until I was about 14. And then when I was a teenager, I started playing in bands at a very young age. I started playing in bands when I was 14, but at that time I was a vocalist and a bass player with my first band. And I would play drums here and there, basically when friends of mine needed someone to fill in and things like that, but it wasn't anything I really did serious through my teenage years. But again, when I started Sacrificial Blood, there was nobody around really that liked, the old school stuff. Most people were just into the modern stuff at that time period, so I became the drummer by default, and then it just stayed that way all this time,
So how'd you figure out you could play the drums and sing at the same time?
The first year, we didn't do any shows at all. We just recorded demos and practiced instrumentally. But then, once the demos got out there to people, they wanted us to play. So I just basically forced myself to do it. And again, like I said, Deceased was a huge influence. Autopsy was a huge influence. Exciter was a huge influence. There's an old new wave of British heavy metal band called Warfare that was a huge influence. They all had singing drummers. So if they can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. Yeah, 17 years, man. That's a long time, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But metal, you die hard and all that stuff. You know what I mean? You don't give up. You just keep going.
So, what are some of the biggest fests that you guys played?
We did the Destroying Texas Fest in 2017 in Houston with Proof and Attica, Cyanide, loads of other bands. I forget off the top of my head, but it was a good show. It was a great show. Funeral Nation played that one. Two other really good bands on that one. And then out here, we've done the Rage of Armageddon. Like I said, we've done one of the NYDM Spring Bashes. We did the Philadelphia Infest. We've done just about all those kinds of fests that they have out here. We've been on them at one point or another, sometimes more than once as well. New Jersey Death Fest, you name it, we've done it.
Awesome, man. So what kind of drum kit you play?
I play myself. I have a CB kit. It's nothing too fancy. It's just standard 5-piece, and I got the double single pedal for a single bass drum. My interest is more with cymbals. I love cymbals, and I play Paiste and Sabian.
Now, what was the last show you guys played?
The last show we played was in September was at that place I was talking about earlier. That was with Immolation and Blood Incantation, and that was a very, very good show for us. We actually did a cover. If you know it, before they were called Immolation, they were called Rigor Mortis, and they did a demo as that. So we did a cover of one of those songs, and Bob came up to us afterwards and was talking to us. It was a real cool moment, very cool.
Nah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Now, how'd you come up with the name Sacrificial Blood, man?
It was a combination of things. When prior to starting the band, I had the whole idea that I wanted to do a more old school death metal inspired thing. I had lyrics written, I had everything ready to roll, but I didn't know anybody. But I had all this in line a year or two before I actually got things going. But I loved Blood Feast and I loved that old Canadian band Sacrifice, so that was part of it. And then at the same time, the Lords of Chaos book was out at that time, and I read it, and they mentioned a fanzine in there called Sacrificial Blood. I don't know if that stuck in my head or registered with me, or if it was just a combination of listening to those two bands a lot.
And then,
probably both.
And then later down the road, you got to play shows with Blood Feast.
Oh, I know. They weren't even going when we started. It didn't seem like bands like that would ever be back around at that time. You know what I mean? They weren't even around when we started.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Later down the road, you got to play with Blood Feast.
Oh yeah, no, they're great friends of mine. I love Tom. I love Adam. Those great dudes, CJ, all those guys, awesome dudes.
Of course, Sacrifice is still going out there in Canada.
Yeah, I've yet to cross paths with them, but I would love to.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come back to the States sometime and do a fest or something, man.
Definitely. I know the one from Japan is coming to New York in January.
So now, after 17 years, man, what would you consider to be the pros and cons of the music business?
Pros and cons? Oh, geez. There's a lot of phonies, there's a lot of fakes, there's a lot of backstabbers, there's a lot of two-faced people, a lot of things like that. That's the cons. The pros for me have been getting to meet my idols and things like that. Like, I became very close personal friends with Mark Shelton and Manila Road, the past 5 or 6 years leading up to when he passed away. We were like, my wife and I went out there and spent weekends hanging out with them. I just saw Voivod in New York, a few weeks ago, in a way came up to me after the set congratulating me for getting married. I had no idea he even knew that, things like that. That's, the pros. And then, getting to travel, getting to, do podcast interviews, all that stuff. I love this. Like, what I mean? Especially for me because, we've been around so long. We're a very underground band, and sometimes you think people don't know who you are or something like that, So it's anything that we get to do is the reward,
Yeah, that must have been pretty mind-blowing having a wake come up to you and to congratulate you, man.
Oh, I know. I couldn't believe it. We met them once or twice, but it's one of those things we didn't know if he remembered us, but obviously he did, and that was pretty incredible,
Yeah. So now, are there any bands that you haven't played with that you would still love to play with these days?
Voivod, absolutely. I'm trying to think of bands that are still going. Sacrifice from Canada, like you just mentioned before, that would be very cool. Anything like that, any of those kinds of bands. Pretty much, I've opened for most of the ones that come through this way by now, and I'm friends with a lot of them. But yeah, there's really anyone really. Like I said, Voivod would be my number one probably right now.
So now, what are some of your favorite places to play at?
Favorite places to play. Before I closed down, Metal Kingdom out in New York City was very, very cool. Anytime we get to go out to Maryland or D.C., we played the Pinch. They just recently stopped doing shows there at the Pinch in D.C. We went there a couple times. That was great. Everything out in Maryland rules. It doesn't even matter what the venue is. It's always great. And for many years, we played Philly a lot, whether it was house parties or clubs or whatever. We did it all. And those were always a good time as well.
Have you guys ever played the Maryland Death Fest?
No, not yet. That's the only. We haven't done any of those really, really big ones yet. We've done all the other ones out here, but not like the big ones like that.
So would that be on your bucket list?
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing. Our guitarist Arnie years ago had a side band called Casket, and they played one of the MDF after parties.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So now, what's the fondest memory you have of being in this band now?
I'm sorry, what?
What's your fondest memory of being in the band Sacrificial Blood, man?
Fondest memory? Probably the past couple of years with the current lineup. This has been the most consistent. It's been the most musically the best. It's been the least self-destructive. I've had some kind of, shady characters come through the band over the years. And yeah, the past few years has really been the best so far. And I hope, I have no doubt in my mind that it'll keep going this way.
Now, what do you think about promoters that want to do pay to play shows?
Oh, I'm completely against that. I will not do it. Especially in New Jersey, 9/10 of the venues are ran that way, and it's part of the reason we're always going out of town for shows because I just refuse to do it. We're not down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bullshit, man.
And especially locally, it's not a far drive for us. It's not a big deal. You don't have to really give me money. You know what I mean? Just we'll do the show, but don't make me do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So now, you have any funny or embarrassing moments being in this band?
Embarrassing moments, yeah. Many, many years ago, back in my 20s, I had a couple of really bad alcoholics in the band, and they saw fit to, do that. Prior to the set, there was one time I had to just completely turn the guy's amp completely off and have him fake it while we were up there playing.
Wow.
There's been, almost on-stage brawls with some of the ex-bandmates, all kinds of stuff like that. But luckily, that's all a thing of the past. And like I said, everybody in the current lineup is great, So I'm just grateful, really, for that. I don't have to deal with any of that anymore,
Yeah. So where do you see the band at, say, five years from now?
Hopefully still rolling, doing what we do, making albums, hopefully getting to go to new places, going Milwaukee, hopefully, be able to go to other places, go to other things. I guess, for us, I know, we have the fans and the people and the offers are there. We really want to go overseas, so hopefully we will make that happen within the next 5 to 10 years. So
you get a lot of messages from people overseas?
Oh yeah, the Wishes Brew label from Germany put out our first album. We've always had fans over there. We have fans in Ireland. We have fans in South Africa. I hear from people all over the world.
Yeah, that's a good thing about having social media now, I guess, huh?
Oh, absolutely, definitely. It's made that incredibly easy.
Back in the old days when you started out, you had to make flyers all the time.
Oh, yeah. No, I did the mail thing. I did all that stuff. And again, especially when I was younger, 14 and all that, my first band was a death metal band called Aneurysm, and we weren't great, but we made our own demos, and I would make flyers. I'd go to school, just run off, make photocopies. I remember one time we were putting together our demo cover, and our drummer brought it to his vocational school to do all the graphic stuff, and he saw the lyrics and the artwork, and they freaked out, and he almost got kicked out of the school.
Now, these days when you play shows, say you're playing out there in New York, do you make any flyers at all?
I don't really do that much. They pretty much take care of that. I'm an hour and a half, 2 hours away from New York, so there's not much. They're going to handle that end of things. There's not really much I can do out here on my end. My thing would be more spreading the word around the internet,
Yeah, flyers are cool, man.
Oh, definitely. I love them. I I collect flyers. I got loads of them.
You get so much cool artwork on the flyers all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I love that. They're very creative, especially the people who still do it the old way with like scissors and tape and photocopying and all that. They're still out there, those people, and I love that.
So what do you think about illegal downloading?
I'm sorry. Illegal downloading. It's a double-edged sword these days because a lot of especially the kind of things I like. A lot of it's out of print. A lot of it's being put out on a bootleg album. Is it any better to buy a bootleg album than it is to download? Because the band's still not seeing that money. Yeah. And for someone like myself, I'm not making a living off music. It doesn't, if people want to, buy my music off a download, they can get it off the Bandcamp page. But for someone like myself, it's really not a big deal. Anyone's going to hear my band is fine with me. You know what I mean? If they come to the show and buy a shirt or something like that, then they supported me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a double-edged sword. So is social media. Social media is a double-edged sword too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially these days, the world's very, very political and very divided with their views and things like that. And yeah, you got to lay low as possible on social media because I've had people give me trouble in the past just for simply saying I don't like a band or I think an album's lame. The next thing I know, I have 20 people on my case, so yeah, I don't even entertain that stuff with people anymore.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors, man.
Oh, I know, they're ridiculous. And then you meet them in person, man, and they're like shaking your hand and trying to be your friend and be all nice to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. So what kind of advice would you give any up-and-coming musicians that want to start a band up?
Just stay yourself. Don't fall victim to any of the drama or the nonsense like we were just talking about. Do what's best for you. Stay true to yourself. It's what's carried me all this time. I've had a lot of naysayers, a lot of trouble from people over this long, many years, and it's calmed down in more recent years. But, through it, I never let any of them drag me down or get me down. I just kept pushing and kept going,
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you a few fun questions here, man.
Yeah, sure.
What's your favorite food to eat, man?
My favorite food to eat, probably lasagna or tacos.
Favorite beverage?
Favorite beverage? This is going to sound square as hell, and this is how you know I'm middle-aged. I'm really into seltzer water.
All right. What's your top three favorite bands of a lifetime?
Top three favorite bands of a lifetime. Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, Voivod, and Enemy, the band that did Unholy Death.
All right, now what's the first concert you ever attended? That doesn't even have to be a metal concert. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Nah, it was The Who when I was 9 years old, my babysitter.
The Who?
Yeah, The Who, from the 60s.
Yeah, John S. Whistle and...
Yeah, Roger Daltrey.
Yeah. So, how was that seeing their first concert being The Who?
Oh, it was awesome. It was great. Like I said, I was always a music fan from a very young age, so I was already... To be able to go to that even at 9 years old was already a couple years in the making. I was ready for it. The next year or two, my old man took me to see ZZ Top, which was also great.
Now, who was your first metal concert?
My first metal concert was Metallica on the Black Album tour when I was 12.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that was an amazing show as well, needless to say. It was kind of the end of days for them. So it was, I was 12 going on 13, and they were going to stop being a cool band, so it was a good end of days thing, you know what I mean?
So what was the first death metal concert you saw?
First death metal concert was a local show. It was Ripping Corpse and Human Remains at the Stone Pony when I was 13.
Now, did that get you hooked on death metal?
Well, I was already into like Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, all that stuff. I went to school with the singer of Ripping Corpse's nephew, and he told me about them. And it blew my mind that there was even bands in my area playing that kind of music. And there were great bands around here back then. There was Ripping Corpse, there was Demonacy, there was Torture Crypt, there was Grim Legion. There was all kinds of great bands back then. And they used to do all-ages matinee shows on Sunday afternoons. So it was just, that was an amazing time, needless to say. Being the age I was, like 7th grade, 8th grade, and being able to go to those shows, incredible,
Yeah. So what musical people inspire you?
Oh, man, that's a tough... Mark Shelton from Manila Road, most definitely. King Fowley was a huge, huge influence for me when I was a teenager in my 20s. example. They're probably, I don't want to sound like them, but I wish I could just have that creative genius and that kind of originality and things like that. I admire them for that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I like a lot of those 70s bands, too. A lot of those 70s bands like Rainbow and Angel and stuff like that, because those bands were, just, they had much broader, they could do more than, a death metal band or a thrash metal band could, let's put it that way.
Do you write all the lyrics for the band?
I'm sorry. Oh, lyrics? Yeah, I write all the lyrics, yes.
How about the music?
The music is written by, Arnie and Jeff, our guitarist, or whoever, the guitarists in the past were and things like that. I'm not really a guitarist. I can't write riffs.
Now, if you could play shows out of the country, what's what's the biggest fest you would love to play out there to go out of the country?
I'm sorry, one more time?
I said if you could go out of the country and play a show, what fest are you really wanting to play?
Oh, any of them at all. Like, I see all those lineups for all those fests, and to be on any of them would be good enough, you know what I mean? None of them are unimpressive, let's put it that way.
Now, how many times does the band get together and practice?
At least twice a month. 3 of us are married, and some of us have pretty busy personal lives. But they all practice on their own. I practice on my own. Everybody. So when we get there, really no time is wasted. Like we just practiced today for the first time in about 3 weeks, and we were just boom, 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 rip right through everything. Like no time was lost at all.
Now, do you guys have a hometown fan base?
Yes and no. It goes. The scene out here is very strange. It's very small, and people don't really come. They really don't. They come when there's like a bigger band on, or a touring band, or something like that. But like if it was a show of just nothing but local bands, it would mainly be the other bands watching each other, and maybe a few other people going. I know I got friends and stuff like that support what I do. But even they're not necessarily metalheads. Let's put it that way. They're not really people who are going to go to a metal show.
Now, do you guys have a YouTube channel?
I do, yes. I've had one. My first one I got locked out of because YouTube, it was registered to my Yahoo, and YouTube made me sync my account with Gmail. So there's 2 Sacrificial Blood YouTube channels out there, and yeah, I make a lot of videos for different songs and different albums and things like that. And yeah, there's two YouTube channels technically.
So where else can people find the band on social media?
We're on Bandcamp, we're on Facebook, and we're on Bandcamp and Facebook.
All right, now can people buy merchandise online?
If they throw me a message, I can tell them how to do it. I think our Penguin Death has t-shirts available. I'm pretty sure they do, actually, yes.
Now, do you guys got vinyls?
No, we did a 7-inch. We did a split 7-inch for a thrash metal band from Delaware called Trader that we do a lot of shows with out here. They're pals of ours. We did that last year. Years ago, we did a split 7-inch with Deceased, and there was an old thrash metal band from Philly called Trasher that we did a tour with in 2007 that we did a split with back then too. I haven't found anyone to put our albums out on vinyl, but I would absolutely love to. Fans have been asking us for it for years now. It's just the offer hasn't come through yet, basically.
Yeah, that would be cool, man.
I know. I would love it. It's like one of the things I want most out of this is to see my actual, not just 7-inches, to see my albums on vinyl,
Yeah. Well, Mike, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do an interview, man.
Oh, yeah, thank you, dude, for calling. I appreciate it very much. Very much looking forward to getting out there, meeting you, and everything else.
Definitely, man. So the song "Beware I Live," what is that song about, man?
That song's about the old video game from the '80s, Sinistar, because that was what he said when he came out to get you.
Oh, cool. Because I'm gonna play that song when we close out.
Right on. Sounds good to me.
So you got any final words or thank yous you want to give out? Anything before we close?
I want to thank you again for taking the time to interview. I want to thank Randy for having us out there in April. We're very much looking forward to it. And anybody who's coming to see us, anybody who likes the song he's about to play, thank you. Can't wait to see you. Hope to meet you.
All right. Thanks again, brother.
Thank you, bro. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So